Hey, everybody, this is Keith. Wanted to talk to you today about the Bible, our faith, and retirement. Retirement is really a novel and modern concept. Nobody talked about retirement in the 1600s, for example. Very few people lived to be the ages that most of us will live to. Not many people made it to 80 years old. Not even a whole lot of people made it to 60 or 70 years old. In 1900, the average male lived to be about 45 or so. And so this whole idea of retirement is for the most part a novel concept. If you go to third world countries, retirement's not really a big thing either. This concept of retirement is an invention that really came out of the enactment of Social Security in the 1930s, thanks FDR. So one of the things I hear is retirement is not biblical. I'm never going to retire. And my response to that is cool. I'm okay with that. Uh, but that doesn't mean that we can't retire or we shouldn't retire or we shouldn't plan for retirement. There's only one instance of retirement found in the Bible, and that is concerning the Levites. They, after 25 years or so of service, if you read about it in Numbers chapter 8, the Levites were required to retire from service. But that's the only instance of retirement found in the Bible. But let's talk about what retirement really is. Retirement, as we conceive it, is where we stop working and we go play golf or tennis, or we travel in our RV, and we have this 25 years or so of unparalleled leisure. And if that's what you're against because of your faith, I would tend to agree with you. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't do those things. It doesn't mean that you can't play tennis or drive around the US. I remember hearing about my grandfather and hearing his stories about how they went and spent like 2 months in Alaska. They drove an RV from Pennsylvania to Alaska. Now, that's a long trip. And that's not necessarily wrong, is it? But to expect that we're going to stop our full-time job and then just kick back and not really do anything is not biblical either. I had a great grandfather who died in 2009, one of my favorite people in the entire world ever. And he was a master craftsman. And when I was born, he was, I mean, late 60s. We could talk about generations in my family if you want, but he was late 60s when I was born, and I don't ever remember him being anything other than retired. But every morning he woke up, and he was a master craftsman. He was good. He made bookshelves, beds, houses, um, gun gun safes. He gun cabinets. He made all kinds of stuff. He built this little kiddie table and chairs for my sister, and he made rocking chairs for both my sister and I. He built me bookshelves. He just was using his hands all the time, constantly busy. But every day at 11 o'clock, he would come in, sit down, and watch The Price is Right. Now, this is before the current guy, I forget his name, but this is the Bill Barker days. Uh, and I would, in the summer, when I'd be home, because he lived at our house, they had an apartment above our garage. A lot of days I would watch The Price was Right with him. I don't know why, but I just did. I think it was just because I liked to be with my grandpa. And then I would have lunch with my great grandma. These were industrious, hardworking people. Now, it was only until their very latest years before they died that my great grandpa didn't build anything anymore, or it would only work for an hour or so. But that was because he was well advanced in years. But again, back in the 1700s, you didn't have a whole lot of people living until their 80s or their 90s, did we? No, yeah, we did have instances of it, but it was the exception rather than the rule. With Social Security, we have this idea that people are going to stop working and sit at home. But what do we as Christians prepare for in retirement? It might be stopping our full time jobs and starting a new business. My parents are retired and they have started a new business, not because they need the income, but because they want to stay busy. And they're actually doing really good work. I'll show you a picture sometime of the woodworking that they're doing. My dad learned from my great grandfather. Um, but retirement could mean, yeah, I mean, we have some more time for leisure where we can live on our wealth, but it also could mean that you're working in another job. Maybe you're doing consulting. Maybe you're serving the Lord. One of the things I talk to ministers about all the time is how cool would it be for you to save up enough wealth so that you could stop serving in a full-time capacity and go and travel to different churches that are struggling and get them off of their to get them on their feet. And you could do that as a service to the Lord and accept very minimal pay, or do it even for free perhaps, so that you can help these churches in struggling areas. To have wise seasoned pastors serving the church as a service out of love and having freedom to do so is a great benefit. Preparing for retirement enables that you won't have to be a burden upon your family and your churches in your later years, but you have the freedom to serve the Lord in ways you would have never even dreamed of in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and even your 60s. The Bible values wisdom, and we need valuable people in retirement to serve the church as elders, as teachers, as mentors, the older women having the freedom to mentor the younger women, older men to aid the work of the session of their local church. These are very valuable things that preparing for retirement can accomplish. Doesn't mean that we have to have, millions upon millions of dollars, but we need to know how much is enough, meaning how much do we need in retirement income, what it is that we want to pass on to future generations, because that is a biblical concept as well. And that requires having a plan. It requires having a professional sit down with you and help you have clearly defined objectives as to what your retirement is going to be, what it requires in terms of income, and how to generate that income for as long as you live and have some money left over to bless either your church or your heirs, whoever they may be. So, this is just a couple of my thoughts on retirement. I want to hear yours. Go ahead and comment in the box. And I need you to start inviting people to join us here at Stewards of the Master. I'm going to be doing more videos. I want to see you guys doing videos. I want to get your questions. All right, over and out.